Ready?
Ready? Okay, we'd like to call this meeting to order. First, we're going to do our land acknowledgement. We would like to begin by acknowledging the land on which we gather, the traditional and unceded territory of the Algonquin Nation. Please stand for the national anthem. Approval of the agenda, moved by Susan Irwin and seconded by Danny Meeks. The agenda from the meeting of the council meeting held January 13th, 2026 be approved and presented. Any amendments, Kathy?
No, there are not.
Okay. So carried. So what do we do? Carried?
Just put carried. Yep. You got it.
All right.
You can use it.
Do we have any disclosure of preliminary interest? Preliminary interest. Oh, sorry, we got to vote. So all those in favor. Sorry about that. I'm fresh. Okay, disclosure of pecuniary interest. Any people, anyone with disclosure? No? Okay. Approval of the minutes, moved by Philip Smith and seconded by Nikki Gowdy. All in favor? That the minutes of the regular council meeting.
That's it. Yeah.
That's it?
Yeah, you probably.
I'm going to read everything for you now.
There you go.
Okay. Mayor's remarks. Well, I would like to welcome everyone to our first council meeting of January for 2026. It's nice to see everyone around the table. Also, the Heritage Committee had their polar plunge last weekend, and it was a great success. There's lots of pictures online and lots of cold people with wet toes. And if you want to have a look, just check our website. Thank you. Anything else from anyone? Nikki?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just to mark your calendars that the Heritage Festival is happening on Family Day weekend, and there's lots of activities planned for Sharbert Lake and for the Arden area. And a flyer will be coming out shortly, and a story will be in the paper this week about it.
Okay. So next we have our delegations, and it's our high-speed rail, and our presenter is Alexis Doyle, Manager of Community Relations. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay? And online as well?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, I want to begin by thanking Deputy Mayor and Mayor, I see you online, as well as council and staff for accepting our request to delegate and provide a project overview this evening to the Township of Central Frontenac. As mentioned, my name is Alexis Doyle. I'm the Manager of Community Relations for Ontario, for Alto, which is the Crown Corporation at the federal level, mandated to deliver the high-speed rail project for Canada. I have a team of advisors and senior advisors across Ontario leading municipal, public, and stakeholder engagement. I'm personally based out of Peterborough. I have a few other colleagues in Eastern Ontario as well, in the Peterborough area and Ottawa, as well as in Toronto. On the next slide, I'm just going to touch on a few of the challenges that this project aims to address. Specifically, the Alto's high-speed rail project will aim to improve productivity throughout the corridor, which stretches from Toronto to Quebec City and the surrounding areas by addressing increased travel costs through higher fuel, car maintenance costs, as well as infrastructure maintenance because of the increased use on our highways. It'll help address some of the elevated congestion on major highways and even in airports. And it'll also help to bring disconnected communities closer together through a convenient mode of transportation that reduces greenhouse gas emissions and improves one's quality of life through an enhanced passenger travel experience. On the next slide. Perfect. The project will run on 1,000 kilometers of dedicated track. It will be electrified, and our service will be fast, reliable, and frequent. Reaching speeds of over 300 kilometers an hour, we will reduce travel times throughout the Toronto to Quebec City corridor. Given the specific design requirements for this technology, we will need new dedicated track to moving people only, which has its benefit of increased reliability to ensure trains arrive when you expect them on time and get you where you need to go based on our schedule. We are targeting frequent departures of 20 to 30 trains on a daily basis, and this essentially enables people to have a convenient travel schedule that accommodates a flexible plan. And so when you arrive, if you happen to miss that train, it's not long before the next one comes around. On the next slide, I want to show you the map of our corridor. And so there are 7 stations along the corridor, including Toronto, Peterborough, and Ottawa here in the Ontario side. And then in Quebec, there is Laval, Montreal, Trois-Rivières, and Quebec City. Now, as you'll notice, there is no alignment between these station areas, but shortly, within this week, in fact, in advance of our open houses beginning next week in the public, we will be sharing a corridor map on our online engagement platform where the public and stakeholders and municipal representatives will be able to see where generally we are looking to place that track. So it'll be a high-level overview between each of these station areas of where the alignment might be located. And you'll also know, or you may be aware, that there was an announcement in December by the federal government that confirmed that we will take a segmented approach to the construction of the project. And we will begin with the first segment, which is from Ottawa to Montreal. This is about 200 kilometers between the two locations. It is the least technical of all of this route or the entire corridor, and it will enable our teams on both sides of the border to enhance their knowledge and experience and be able to move and advance their work in their provinces shortly thereafter. Next slide. So highlighted here are a few of the travel times between those station areas. I know before we began, there was a question around different stops or additional stops rather than above and beyond the 7 that were identified on the previous map. And the focus here is a high speed and getting people where we'd like them to go in between those station areas in the times that we've allocated in this chart. And so you'll be able to get from Toronto to Montreal in 3 hours, which is competitive with air travel today. From Toronto to Peterborough in under 40 minutes or close to 40 minutes. Ottawa to Montreal and Ottawa to Toronto in half the time it takes today if you were traveling by road. On the next slide, I want to share an economic perspective of the opportunity for this project. The stretch along the southern Ontario and Quebec areas are already a hub of economic and social activity. The high-speed rail is projected to increase Canada's GDP by 1.1%, which is equivalent to $24 to $35 billion on an annual basis. And this is achieved through increased productivity, with cities being brought closer together, higher participation in the workforce, and increased tourism as well. On the next slide, I'll highlight a few of the other project outcomes. We will offer safer travel between these cities. We are meaningfully contributing toward reconciliation with Indigenous peoples with whom we have been building relationships with for many years. Even before we had the concept of high-speed rail, we've been in conversation with those communities on the previous concept of a conventional rail corridor. And we'll also be able to increase availability of accessible and affordable services. Next slide. The project will also strengthen the Canadian economy by sourcing goods and services right here. We will need substantial volumes of aggregate, steel, and aluminum for our track, and we will also need the people to build it. So during construction, we are projecting that the project will need about 50,000 employees and create those jobs here locally. Now, we are not doing this alone. In 2023, Transport Canada launched a rigorous RFP process to identify a project partner. The process closed in February of 2025, when then Prime Minister Trudeau announced that Alto would work with Cadence, a consortium of rail infrastructure companies that are based both here in Canada, but also in France. And they all have expertise in delivering transportation and high-speed rail projects on a global scale. Now, looking at where we are today, which is the closing of the request for proposal and the beginning of the development phase. This development phase, which was originally about 6 to 8 years, is now 4. We have major milestones to achieve in this 4-year period, including identifying the corridor, which, as I mentioned, will be something that will be shared and achieved in this week and in the coming weeks. We will identify the exact alignment, so where the track will be laid, select the station locations within the areas that were noted on the map, complete the regulatory process, acquire the land, and finalize the engineering design. So at the end of the development phase in 4 years, Alto and Cadence will present a shovel-ready project that will include cost estimates and a timeline for federal approval. And if approved, we will move into the construction phase. And there are a few other pieces that we will move forward with in the development phase, but mainly what I want to highlight here is the importance of engagement, both with municipal representatives, the public, and stakeholders to make sure that we are informing good project decisions throughout the development phase. We're also working closely with the utilities to understand the existing corridors, and also corridors being highways or transmission lines, as well as host railways, CP and CN. Now, we are aware that not all communities see themselves in this project, which is why we are putting together and establishing a community benefits plan. We are in the early stages of this program, but the objective is to create sustained measurable benefits for impacted communities along the project alignment. And the early vision for this program will focus on economic opportunities through employment and procurement for local businesses. It's exciting to look at this slide because I have been presenting for several councils over the last few months, and to see us now in 2026 and at the beginning of a major comprehensive engagement program. We will, starting next week in Ottawa, here in Ontario, and in Montreal, in Quebec, begin with roundtables and open houses for the public. And we will run roundtables and open houses in Ontario and in Quebec until the end of March, with a number of locations throughout the corridor. We'll also be able to support engagement and people learning more about the project through our online engagement and consultation platform, where people will be able to interact with maps, see the same information as you would in person at our open houses. And we'll also offer a few virtual information sessions so people can join us from home. We know that it's winter and the weather doesn't always cooperate, so we want to make sure that it's a convenient opportunity for people to join us online as well. And the last thing I'll share are some of the concepts and principles underpinning our engagement, which is to focus on having an open and transparent dialogue that allows us to understand the local needs throughout the corridor, through respectful communications with an inclusive and collaborative approach. So with that, I want to again thank Council, Deputy Mayor, Mayor and Council for having me tonight to represent Alto in the High-Speed Rail Project, and happy to answer any questions you may have.
I'd like to thank you, Alexis. And is there any questions from council? Nikki Gowdy?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I watched the presentations at North Frontenac and South Frontenac as well. So some of my questions have already been answered. But high-speed rail is straight lines. You try and build them with very little turns because it slows the track down. So I know that you're bringing out a map this week, but like, is the thoughts parallel to Highway 7? Is that the corridor you're doing? Do you know if it's any north? I know you're not, that there's no openness to other stops at the moment because you've been mandated to just 7 stops. But any idea what we're looking at, because Highway 7 dissects our community?
Right. And so when those maps are live, and I won't scoop the map reveal, but what you will see is a dynamic corridor on those maps. In some cases, the width is about 10 kilometers. In some cases, it's a little bit tighter, especially as you go into Toronto, for example, because there's only so many ways that you might be able to enter a city that is already developed and congested in that way. But in some cases, it's a little bit wider as well. And when you see those maps, you will recognize maybe some existing land use corridors that are already at play. I mentioned our engagement with utilities, and some of the highways are existing corridors where those areas are already being used for transportation. So there are some benefits to co-locating along some of those areas, but you'll also see that we're considering some other opportunities as well. And what's important to remember is it's within these shaded areas, and there are these wide bands. They're not very focused, but it's within these areas that we are trying to locate the track itself. So understanding from yourselves and the public where there are opportunities or areas to avoid is essential through our engagement process over the coming months. It'll help us inform and refine down to that alignment opportunity.
Okay. Do we have any other questions from council? Susan, go ahead.
There we go. Through Deputy Mayor. You mentioned community benefits and noting that there are seven stops that you're prepared to mention. Can't tell us if one is going to be in Charlotte Lake. I guess that's off the table. But so I'm still struggling. Obviously, benefits to the cities that are connected and the flow of goods and so forth. But how does it benefit Charlotte Lake? I mean, you've got some laudable goals that you've stated, but I looked at it with some skepticism. Like, how is it going to benefit Central Frontenac? So I don't know if you can expand on that a little bit.
Well, I can certainly expand on the community benefits plan, which is focused on the impacted communities. So the areas in which that final alignment will be located. So making sure that those communities who are impacted by the track, and as I mentioned, don't see themselves as being close enough to a station area to avail of the service itself. There are 3 categories within the community benefits plan that we've identified to date. The first is the local workforce. So I mentioned the 50,000 jobs that will be required for construction, making opportunities or creating opportunities for tradespeople along the alignment or that are more local to where the corridor would be located would be a priority. Also understanding the procurement process. We know that there are lots of suppliers along the corridor as well, helping to identify them and give them an opportunity to be on the project and be a participant and avail from an economic perspective to benefit from that opportunity as well. And then the third is infrastructure updates and improvements. And that can be an example of a construction laydown. We'll need construction laydown areas along the project alignment as it's built, but we want to make sure that we leave that area better than it was before we were there. So that might be an opportunity that we would collaborate with local communities and the public in areas where they're further away from the station area, the station locations rather, to build something that is of value and a benefit to that community. So it may not be the transportation service itself, but it could be another option. It could be a park, for example, just to give one. Sure.
Okay. And Duncan, follow up?
So first off, I see nothing in the plan that benefits the taxpayers of Central Frontenac. I think this project's insulting to rural communities between Peterborough and Ottawa that are going to have a track go by their community with no benefit. We see enough problems with CP Rail that we have running through our community now, and I see Alto being the same situation. So I don't know how we get that message across. On top of that, the package that we've received to date and the information we've received to date is no information. The information that we have received as a municipal stakeholder is the same information available online. So you can't tell us what benefits are going to be to the community. You can't tell us where the track is going to go. And other than saying we are going to be possibly consulted as a stakeholder, there's no firm commitments of how it's going to happen. So first of all, I've expressed my concerns with the project. Second of all, I'd ask council to vote this motion down because there is no information in this package. So I'd like to ask for a recorded vote on that if I could, Deputy Mayor.
Certainly.
That's all.
Do we have any other questions from council? Mickey, Gowdy?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. One other question, and it's about safety. You didn't mention safety precautions on this presentation, but it was presented at other ones. So we have a high-speed rail going 300 kilometers an hour, or extremely fast speeds. How are you going to protect the public so that that there's no safety concerns to people in our area?
So excellent question. So for high-speed rail, it is fully fenced to protect from the high speeds and make sure that people and animals are not impacted. And there's no possibility of being hit or have any interaction with the train itself. So it is fully fenced. So that is the top approach that not even we are using, but the industry uses to make sure that there is protection and the highest safety.
Thank you. Going over or under crossing roadways.
Sure.
What's your plan there?
So it'll be determined throughout the 4 years. We don't yet have the design determined just yet. And the opportunity here is it's not often that we are out engaging on a project as early as we are today. And so we don't have a lot of answers to questions at this particular moment. But it's rare to be on a project and an infrastructure project of this magnitude early on when decisions haven't been made, to gather input to inform better decisions and a project that can be seen and appreciated and used by as many people as possible. So I can appreciate, just to the earlier comments that were shared around not feeling as though we have a lot of answers and information at this moment, but it's because we're in the early stages, and that's often what happens when you're engaging years before shovels hit the ground. And so understanding where we will go up or down, where we would tunnel or be raised, will be determined based on that alignment. So where will the track go specifically? And what are the engineering design considerations for that specific location? Because we will have raised areas and we will have tunneled areas and lowered areas as well. These are all possibilities, but we don't yet know where specifically that'll occur until we determine where the alignment might go.
Okay, so I think we have Philip next, and then Lynn online, okay?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
And Fran.
So Councillor Irwin asked a question that I thought was quite relevant about the economic benefit for Central Frontenac. And I just wanted to thank you for the comments you made, because it was the same question I had, although I don't see any long-term benefit for our municipality. Understanding that several years of construction, there could be some economic benefit to the municipality. So, thank you.
Okay, so I think Lynn's next. So Lynn Callegas, Councillor Callegas online next.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor. And my question is, you talk about there being open houses coming, and I don't know if you've shared with everybody where where our most local ones are to attend? And are you going to be sharing further information than what you've shared tonight to make it worthwhile attending these open houses? Or is it just to receive information from the public? So that's my question.
Perfect. Great question. I know that there's lots of interest in understanding what that room looks like. And so much of the information I shared with you this evening will also be covered, but we'll also go into more detail around the corridor, how the map was identified, how it will be refined down, what some of the key considerations are for informing that narrowing process. There will be an exercise and opportunity to gather input from the public to inform that narrowing. Pins on a map will be the exercise and workshop that will be offered. We'll go into detail around the safety considerations. We'll also look at some of the ways the engineering design will accommodate for the diverse landscape along 1,000 kilometers of track. There will be and maybe I should just take a step back. There's going to be 7 information booths. So I didn't cover 7 topics in my overview and my presentation today. So you can imagine in learning more about the engineering design, which will have 3 dedicated booths. Our Indigenous relations will have a booth to share more around how we are engaging with community. The environmental team will also help share information around the field studies we are conducting, the ways we are understanding and moving through the regulatory process, and then also to make sure that people are able to understand some of the mitigation opportunities for our environmental issues and challenges throughout the corridor as well. So that's just a few of the highlights I think people can expect when they arrive, as well as that mapping exercise. Now, in the county of Frontenac, we do not at the moment have an open house scheduled, but we are only at the beginning of engagement. We have a fairly rigorous schedule over the coming 10 weeks with open houses and roundtables throughout. We do have a roundtable in the county, and we have invited township staff to participate. That will be on, I believe it is March 26th, on Thursday, March 26th. But in terms of the open houses, the closest could be, and not knowing exact driving times, we will have an open house in Madoc. We will have one in Sterling. And I know those are a little bit further away, but in this first wave of engagement, those were the locations we selected. But it is not the last round of engagement and round of open houses we will host. We do have one in Perth. Thank you for highlighting that. Yes. Okay. I wasn't sure about Madoc or Perth or which would be closer, but that is correct. Yes, we have one in Perth as well.
Okay, we have a question from Mayor Smith online.
Yes, thanks for coming, Alexa. It's going to be a hot topic when we get the map, because initially there were many things said that haven't happened. But I think one of the big questions was it would follow the old track bases that were there as much as possible, which you may know in Frontenac County and all of our counties around us have made recreational trails with those abandoned rail beds, and a lot of them have been sold. So that hopefully will be taking into consideration when they decide where to go. But I really hope they start to look at all the small communities that will be ruined if they're not able to go around them or do something to make it that they're not going to have 16 trains, 300 kilometers an hour going through in front of beaches and medical centers like we have. So that's very much worrisome for all of the people in our community and all our little hamlets along the line.
Okay. Okay, any other questions? Okay. So I read the motion then?
Yes.
So read the motion that council receive the presentation from Alexis Doyle regarding the Alto high-speed rail for information. All those in favor?
It was,
Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
recorded vote.
yeah,
Okay,
There.
so Francis Smith?
yes.
So I check yes.
Yes. on it. I'm with you.
Cindy Kelsey, yes.
Good.
Lynn Kalagas.
Yes,
Okay. Bill Everett,
Yes.
Susan Irwin,
Yes.
Duncan McGregor,
No.
Nikki Gowdy,
Yes.
Dan Meeks,
Well, we received the information, but not enough information.
so is a yes.
So I guess we did receive the information.
So it's a yes, okay. And Philip Smith.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
so that's what I need.
Thank
to
you. Yeah.
Okay, so the motion is carried. Thank you for coming out, Alexis. Looking forward to see you maybe at one of the open houses. Have a good night. Okay. So item B of,
Yep, the next one
Okay.
is that one.
okay. So item B is North Front Little Theater, Art Holloway and Angela Cowdy.
So I'm Art Holloway, past president of the North Frontenac Little Theater, and beside me is Angela Cowdy, the current president of the Little Theater. I guess I just want to point out before Alexis leaves, I'm driving down to Kingston and taking the train to Toronto next week, so just wanted to point that out. So what I really want to talk about today is just a review of the activities that the theater is.
No one wants to be seen here.
Should I sit? Would that be, okay. Well, that's mine. Not easy for me to stay in one place that long, but. Okay, so what I'd like to do is just a quick review of the stuff that we've been involved in 2025 and some plans for 2026. But I thought we'd do the good stuff first. At our last meeting, we told you that if we ever made a profit, which we hope to, we would donate 10% of our profit back to the township. And our last presentation, we did make a profit. So we have a check to give to the township from the North Frontenac Little Theater. Who should I give this to? Okay, I will pass it over when, oh, well, I'll just walk over it now. So it's with great pleasure that we are able to do that. We feel the energy is returning to our theater. And the other thing that I wanted to highlight is we have two main productions per year in Oso Hall. It's working out great, but we're also active in the community. So I just wanted to quickly review the stuff that we've done outside of our two main productions. So we had great plans of doing Christmas carols at the seniors home, and then the flu bug hit, and so we had to cancel at the last minute. We didn't want to give anything like that to the seniors there, but our plans are to continue that tradition next year, and we're also putting skits on at the seniors home sometime in winter or the early spring. We provide lights and sound to the Festival of Trees. And so each time we do something like that, we need to get on the ladders and repoint the lights, which is good exercise, but it is a time-consuming thing. And we also have made a large screen available so that the festival could show a film or a slideshow of the history of the Festival of Trees. We provided the lights and sound for the Lions Club Murder Mystery at Oso Hall in November. We teamed with the Township Rec Committee and the Fire Department, as well as Sharp Lake Dental, to host once again the Halloween night where we had over 200 kids. Some of them might have come through more than once at the hall, and it is turning into quite a good event. We plan on continuing that tradition. We provided lights and sound for an event for the Bertram family when there was a birthday celebrated. So like what we try to do is, because we're in the community hall and, our lights are there, when people ask, we try to make ourselves available and supply the lights to them. We also did that for the second year in a row for the high school prom. Not sure why they need to come to the Oso Hall, but they asked, and so we were able to do that again, which was great. We were asked, a Celtic band from Kingston Seventh Town came in the summertime to make a presentation. We were asked to provide lights for that, which we did, and it worked out so well. They came back just before Christmas, and we did a second show with them. So that's we hope to continue that tradition as well. We did a youth theater workshop complimentary over the summer, and we had somewhere between 6 and 12 kids show up, some of which came back for our musical Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. So that worked out well for the kids and it worked out well for us. We are actively involved in the farmers market. We set up a booth every Saturday, and we actually did a flash mob in the final weekend of the farmers market where we did some of the Joseph songs. So it a preview of what was to come. And yeah, and it was Joseph that we sold out, which is becoming a tradition for us, which is you know, a quality problem to wonder whether we've got enough seats. And the last show we did was the Rocky Horror Picture Experience, where we showed the movie. I'm not sure how many of you have seen it. It's out there. And we acted out some of the iconic songs where instead of playing their version, we got actors on stage and did it our version. And was greeted with a lot of enthusiasm. So we'll probably be doing that again soon too. So that's what we did. And I just want to stress, we're trying to get out in the community and work with the community as much as we can. Coming up, we're doing a Norm Foster play in the spring with a new director doing that and a lot of new talent debuting. And one of the other things we said was we're going to try to stay out of the Oso Hall as much. It's a very intensive rehearsal. We're all amateurs too, so it's not like we can look at a script and memorize it in a couple of rehearsals. We do a lot of rehearsals. We're staying out of Oso Hall as much as we can early. It's a small cast, so some of that's going to be done in houses, some of it's going to be done at the medical center. And we're getting involved with Oso Hall at the beginning of March, and the production is in mid to late April. Looking forward to that. My wife is directing, so I'm trying to stay out of the way. Don't tell her that. Yeah. We're in the planning session stages for a 3-session workshop coming up this spring on making masks. Lily Zyrer is again going to run that. It's in an early preliminary development stage, I would say. And then the other thing I wanted to mention is we are looking at a grant application for a couple of things. We're going to try to find a modular portable stage that we can that's a little more solid and easily taken apart to replace the extended stage that we're using now. We're going to take that down after our spring production. And also, just because of the nature of the stage that we have there, it's relatively low for a theater, and so the audience sort of sees a lot of the back of heads. So we're looking at trying to formulate a grant where we can get some portable risers that we can move in and rise up. So we're looking at ideas now. We're going to be presenting our ideas to the township, and we're hoping we had a really successful pairing for the lights where we got a grant from the Kingston Area Foundation. So our plan is to work with you guys and try to get another one, you know, for the risers and hopefully for the stage. So that's all we have. I appreciate the time, and thank you, Deputy Mayor and Mayor.
All right, thank you for your presentation. Any questions from council? Susan first.
First of all, thank you for all that you do in the community. It's really impressive. And I appreciate that you say you're trying to stay out of Oso Hall. But when you do the productions, and we like having you in Oso Hall, is there anything that would help that experience between the township and yourselves?
Any thoughts?
Just communication, I would say, is a big one.
Well, I think we're absolutely working on that very thing right now. We've just recently met with the township staff, and we're working on protocols. We have assigned me as the contact person for NFLT. And when it comes to the halls, the township has identified Bill Young as being our contact person. We work with Stephanie for booking the hall. And Jody Ledoux, of course, is the secondary contact. So we're actually in the process right now of working out all that stuff. And I think it's going to work much better in the future for that. Thank you.
Okay, and any other questions? Nikki and then Duncan?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Thank you for all you do in the township. I just want to kind of give you some great feedback. The youth really enjoyed the summer program that you offer. And I hope, and I heard very positive things, and I hope that there's time allowing for this summer that you can offer something to the youth for something different to do and get them involved in theater and what's out there.
Thank you for that input. You know, it is an awful lot of work putting those things on, you know, and God love the kids. Sometimes they don't express that, but we got the feedback because they all came out to Joseph, the children's musical that we had. So we really knew we had something there. And our plan is to continue doing that. It's just, I'm sure you're all familiar, volunteering, you're never sure how many people are going to show up. And we're always looking for new people, if you want to come out and volunteer. Thank you, Nikki.
Okay, and Duncan, you had a question?
Not a question. Susan actually answered asked my question about what we can do to help. I've said this privately, but I'll say it publicly. I really appreciate the work that you have done throughout the community, and specifically when we did the Halloween event, it was a good opportunity for those committees to jump in, and the Halloween event definitely couldn't have happened without you guys. So thank you very much.
I just want to say we enjoyed working with you and look forward to, you know, future endeavors.
Okay, so Angela, I want to thank you for coming out and doing your presentation tonight. Okay, so the resolution. The council received the presentation from Art Holloway and Angela Cowdy regarding the North Frontenac Little Theatre Company for information. All in favor? Carried. Thank you.
Who was that moved and seconded by, Cindy?
We have to put the move to second. You forgot to say Dan.
Moved by Dan Meeks and seconded by Susan Irwin. I'm glad you're looking after me, Fran. Thank you.
It's a learning process.
Yeah, just do that first before.
It'd be better. That was up here and they were down here. Okay. So do we have any public meetings?
No, we do not.
Consent agenda. The council receive items A to C for information as they are considered routine items. Moved by Nikki Gowdy and seconded by Philip Smith. All in favor? Carried. Do we have any deferred items?
No, there is not, Madam Deputy Mayor.
All right, staff reports. So staff report 1-226, Development Services and Activity Report. Andy. Hi, Andy.
Hello, Deputy Mayor.
I'm a long ways away, Andy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is the standard construction activity report. Nothing too notable other than revenue is down for 2025. Probably back to pre-COVID levels.
So do we have any questions from council for Andy? Duncan?
Through Deputy Mayor, Andy, how do you foresee 2026 being as far as new residential construction or any construction for that, Mayor?
Through you, Deputy Mayor, to Councillor McGregor, it's really too early to tell. This time of year, there isn't as much going on, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see what the spring brings.
Okay, and I think we have a question from Fran online.
Thanks, Cindy. Just a comment. I was adding up the new residents, and that's 30 new residents last year. And typically we're around 28 to 30. So that's pretty much following what we've done over the years. So that's a nice way to grow.
Thank you. So do we have any other questions, comments? Okay, so moved by Bill Everett, seconded by Duncan McGregor. The council received the construction detail activity report for December 2025 for information. All in favor? Carried. Okay. Okay, report 2-2026 Development Service Building Fees Report.
So
That's a little long. Oh, I see that.
So this report in the building bylaw, it says that the fees are to go up annually, February 1st. I know that some of council likes to know when fees are increasing. That's why I brought this report forward so that if you want to do anything other than what the bylaw says, this would be the opportunity to do that.
Do we
The motion.
read the motion? Okay. Moved by Susan Irwin, seconded by Bill Everett. Whereas the bylaw 2014-27 requires that fees set out in the Schedule C shall be adjusted annually and effective the 1st of February based upon the third quarter Bank of Canada total CPI. I don't have to read that, do I? Now therefore be it resolved that council approve a 2% increase to building permits fees effective February 1st, 2026 in accordance with section 7.4 of bylaw 2014-27, which links the annual fee update to the Bank of Canada total CPI. And that the chief building official be directed to update Schedule C accordingly. Is that it? Yep. All. Any questions? Nikki Gowdy?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Andy, I'm a little concerned that we're running a deficit and our numbers are going down. And we're looking at hiring more staff. So I don't know if it's Andy's question or Kathy's question. How are we going to work with these deficits on an ongoing basis if the fees aren't covering the costs?
Andy?
Through you, Deputy Mayor, to Councillor Gowdy. Yeah, the department hasn't always generated a surplus, but if it does generate a deficit, then it's the existing tax base has to absorb that. But the way the fees are supposed to be designed is that development pays for development so that it's not a burden to the taxpayers.
Do we have any other questions from council? Dan and then Philip.
Township should have a development fee. On the graph you set out, Andy, for us to compare township development fee. So 3 townships have that and we don't. What does that consist of? Do you know, or like it's quite considerable amount higher than what our township is.
Mhm. Through you, Deputy Mayor, to Councillor Meeks, development charges are designed to cover capital costs for, the new development. You get more houses, you may need more fire trucks. It's more if we were providing water and sewer, they would go towards paying for water and sewer upgrades, but basically it's to fund capital projects that are required to service the growth in the township.
So for each one of those building permits, it's showing here 3 times the amount of what basically our township is charging with those development fees.
Yeah,
true?
and those fees are separate from the building department. They're to cover capital costs for the township.
And they're added into the building permit when
At the permit issuance.
at the time of permit.
They've actually, they were paid at permit issuance, but there was legislation that now they can be held off until occupancy so that there isn't so much of an upfront cost
I see.
to housing.
Thanks.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. one of my questions was around that same schedule, and there was an education development fee, and I'm just curious if that is the Board of Education that actually levies that, or is it the municipality that does that as part of their development charges? But the second question was around the septic reinspection program and the comments you made around that and the additional employee, and just wondering if we're talking about the reserves for the building department, does the septic reinspection program fall there, and is that appropriate spot for those expenses to be?
Through you, Deputy Mayor, to Councillor Smith, the education development fee is something that's set by the school board, I believe. It's only applicable south of here. That's not something that the township has any control over. If the school board wants to charge it, they can. And to your second question, yeah, with the reinspection, it all, or most of it falls under enforcement of the Building Code Act and under Part 8, but Central is going above and beyond what the act calls for. So you could argue that some of that cost for the township implemented bylaw could be covered by the taxpayers. But the way Michael and I talked about that too, it's kind of a gray area whether the entire cost of that should be funded by the building permit fees or the tax base. Because the building permit fees, I don't think will ever cover the entire cost of running that program unless they went up significantly.
Okay, do we have any other questions from anyone online or any counselors at the table? No? Okay, well then we'll call the vote. So all those in favor of Andy's report? Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. Okay, so Public Works is next. Okay, so report 3-2026, Public Works Activity Report, moved by Dan Meeks, seconded by Duncan McGregor. The council received the Public Works Activity Report as presented by the Public Works Manager for information. Hi,
You have any
Dave.
questions? Yeah.
Yeah.
To highlight, yeah.
Yeah. Does anyone have any questions? Nikki Gowdy.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Mine's more of a comment and it's directed kind of to council. And I put my words down actually on paper for a change instead of trying to stumble over them. But I just want to say that thank you for the information regarding the minimum road standards and the challenges currently being experienced. Council appreciates the continued efforts of staff to maintain our road safety, particularly giving ongoing pressures related to weather conditions and available resources. Ensuring safe and reliable transportation infrastructure remains a priority for all of council, as you know. As you know, council is elected by the residents and it represents their interests, and council and staff are funded through taxpayers' dollars. While maintaining minimum road standards may meet mandate requirements, and road conditions are one of the most visible services that our residents experience daily. When these conditions fall short of their expectations, it becomes a significant concern for residents and council. And this is where my question comes in. Are we, as a township, content to do the minimum, or are we, in our opinion, want to strive to exceed our expectations? That all comes with money and taxpayer dollars. Council is ultimately responsible for the conditions of our roads, and we value our staff input and recommendations. We responded last year when additional staff were required, and council continues to invest annually in new equipment. We're open if further resources are needed, but we need to remember that we work as a team, and working together is the best way. And this winter has been a hard winter for all of us. It started early. We were hit early, and people are looking at that. And we as a council, I think, need to look at where we are and what we see as the future going forward with the roads.
Thank you. Any comments?
Through you, Deputy Mayor. Thanks. Thank you, Nikki, for that. We, I think it's the level of service that we're offering right now where we are superior to the minimum maintenance of what we should be doing to the roads. So it all comes down to service level, I guess, and what the council wants to deliver to the residents. So.
Okay. Do we have any other questions from council? Duncan
I'd like to
McGregor?
just make a comment. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Duncan.
Okay. So I don't know really much about roads in Central Frontenac. I know I drive on them. I know for the most part, I'm quite content with the roads I drive on. But so one of the things I've seen on my time on council is really an inconsistent approach to how the public engages the municipality on road conditions. So it seems like, and I know you get phone calls on a daily basis and the rest of township staff and some of the councilors, and we also look at that through our social media, right? Where we see a lot of the posts from people commenting or mostly criticizing about our roads. Is there a way we could seek public engagement in a more quantitative way to give council direction on what they want us to do with the roads? So if they're not actually content with the road standards we're maintaining, are they okay with us increasing tax dollars? And so looking forward into 2027, when there's going to be a new council, one thing I think would really be beneficial to them is if staff could come up with some kind of way to get that quantitative information. So really clear and concise direction from our taxpayers, other than, oh, the roads suck, or, oh, this didn't get salted, or my road's got a pothole in it. So future council, because Councillor Gowdy's right, it ultimately falls on council. We set the budget for the roads department. If you had 5 times as many drivers on the roads, if you had 5 times as many trucks, the roads would get done 5 times as fast. So that falls on council. So I think council needs more direction from the public and more direction from the taxpayers on what they want us to do. Because on one hand, they're saying, keep the tax bill down. On the other hand, they're saying we want all golden highways. And so I think something staff could, the only thing I would suggest to staff is take 2026 and think about how you could get that public feedback in a really clear and concise way that would send a message to the next council. That's all.
Okay. And Mayor Smith, you have a question or comment?
To comment, and that is expectations of people who live on side roads. I think they need to understand, one, the hard tops get done first. So that puts a crew on 509, 38, any other hard top road. So that takes a crew. But the other thing is, we don't go out and plow while the snow is coming down. We can't afford to do it that way. Now, there's comments about, well, send the guys home and bring them back. I know we have a schedule when there's a storm, and we make it work that they're working their 8 hours. We can do lots more if people want to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars more, but they don't. And we know that every year we do a budget. And if you wrote down over the year the number of people that have complained to you out of the population we have, I don't think it's that high.
All right. Thank you. So I'd like to call the vote if there's no more questions.
I think one other thing is too, is I think hitting it, like what Fran was saying, is more communication, I understand, with the public, is because the public don't understand the process of how they go out and do. Because I mean, I've seen some posts saying, well, gee, they should be going out at 4:30 or something. Well, they don't realize those people have already gone out at 3 in the morning or so I think it's a bit of a communication so that the public understands how that whole process can work. And maybe that's something can certainly work on, is putting news blasts out there. You realize that they're out at such and such time. Yeah, that's where I've seen it before, that coming off the social media.
And just more that people know the procedure of what you do,
Yeah.
like what roads you hit first before you go to the next one and how things are done would probably really help.
So that's why I figured blast or something.
And that we have 600 kilometers of road.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we have one more question, Nikki Gowdy.
Thank you. And the public don't, most of the public don't read the council agenda or the reports. And like you have done a very good job in both reports explaining what you do, and they don't see that. It's easier to be a keyboard warrior someplace else. So the idea of a blast or something is actually a good idea. Communication is the key, and the more informed you are by the right sources, the better off you are.
Okay. And Steve, you have something to,
Through you, Deputy Mayor. So the last little while, I'd say probably almost a year now, we've tried to put more information out on Facebook and you know, when crews will be out and why we're like, not really why we're out, but mostly when we're going to be out and what we're doing and why we're doing it. So we try to get more information out on the Facebook a lot. So.
okay. All right, so we'll call the vote for the activities report. All those in favor? Carried. Okay. All right, report number 4-2026, Public Works Capital Project Status Report, moved by Philip Smith, seconded by Susan Irwin. The council received Public Works Capital Project Status Report as presented by the Public Works Manager for information. Any questions? All those in favor? I just got it right. Okay. All right. So report number 5-2026, Public Works Response to Inquiries from December 9th, 2025, moved by Bill Everett, seconded by Dan Meeks. The council received Public Works Response to Inquiries reported as presented by the Public Works Manager for information. Any questions, comments? Duncan?
Through you, Deputy Mayor. So I only have one question. It wasn't outlined in the report, and it was only really touched on by the member that came to council in December, or the committee member. What is the Public Works policy on usage of salt? So I know we use salt on some of our roads. We don't use salt on others. We use salt sometimes. We don't use salt others. So overall, how do we utilize salt to keep our roads clear in Central Frontenac?
To you, Deputy Mayor. So 38 is our main artery, 509. So they usually get a heavier mix. Surface street roads, we try to lighten the mix on that because it's very hard on the surface street roads because it is just a tar and stone. It doesn't take it as well as the pavement. So we limit it there. Gravel roads, they don't get any salt other than what's in the sand to help it from freezing.
So just so I understand this correctly, when the sanders or salters are on 38 highway, they are continuously putting down a mixture of sand and salt.
Yes, they are. Yeah.
Okay. And we don't use it on our Township roads. So what's oh,
Sorry. Yeah, we do use it on the Township roads. We try to limit it. That's all. It's harder on the roads and they'll deteriorate very quickly if we put as much salt as we do on like 38 that's paved.
so is that something you have a constant mix, or is that something that you choose? Like if I'm doing 509 today, I'm going to add salt or I'm not going to add salt, or is it just we always add 1% salt?
So when we mix the sand in the shed, we usually do a 2%, 1 to 2% in the sand already. That's what goes on the back roads. The guys out on the roads, they'll use more of their judgment. Like 38 truck goes till the storm is done. So he knows whether he needs to mix a little heavier or not. So there's always a mix on any hardtop road. It's just some of them get a little more than others.
Okay. And then on back roads or dirt roads, gravel roads, why do we never use salt?
To you, Deputy Mayor. It's hard on our roads. It makes potholes. It softens them up. It's kind of a waste really, because back roads, we can use the graded ice blade to get them back down to the gravel. And yeah, the salt just plays a big havoc on our road.
So my understanding is when there's a salt layer on a back road, when there's an ice layer on a back road and we use salt, right, we end up taking that road back to thawed dirt, which leads to more potholes and graders. Is that a fair assessment?
Yep, that's right.
Okay, that's it for me.
Okay, so Susan and then Dan.
Through Deputy Mayor. First of all, I'd like to thank you for the detail in your reports. It was very educational for me, so I appreciate that. But as Councillor Gowdy pointed out, people tend not to read the agenda and the attachments. You've talked about news blasts. So one thought I had is when you do the ad in the Frontenac News, that you could possibly, obviously you can't do all of this on that ad because you've got to deal with all the departments, but you could put a link because I noticed that South Frontenac, when they put their ad in, they put links. And so if you could have an information page that they could link to, that would be really helpful. So thank you.
Okay. And follow up, Dan?
Thanks, Deputy Mayor. I was just going to make a point. You got to have salt in the sand or it would freeze together. So there's absolutely some salt in the sand that you're using on the back roads. And kind of jumped the gun. I just wondered if we heard anything on the sand dome, Hinchinbrook Garage.
To you, Deputy Mayor. He's out there working on it. He's got his form set up there now. I think he's going to be hopefully pouring next week. So, yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Nikki Gowdy, then Duncan.
I think I have two questions. Again, I'm sure the residents are happy with this. Was a copy of your responses sent to the two people that came and presented at council because they were the ones asking the questions?
Oh.
And my second question is along the same topic, but different. Other townships pre-treat their main roads. I know you can't pull a number out of a hat tonight, but is that something that maybe we should look at when we know a storm's coming in on our main? So 509 and 38, if we did a pre-treatment like other townships do, then it saves on the salt and the sand on those roads and helps when the storm starts and till people get out and going on the road. Is that something you've ever thought of, or is something we could work on maybe?
So you, Deputy Mayor, are you talking about like the pre-wet they put down?
The
I think
buzzing.
it's been talked about here before. It's really essentially like doubling your salt cost, really. It's just liquid salt they put down before it. It helps a bit, but it'd be more money and what council wants to spend and what residents want. So it's something we could look into, but it is going to be more money.
And no? Okay. So any other questions? Susan?
This is just a question about the cost of salt, because I happened to see item on CBC News about the shortage of salt. And I noticed in the report on your capital projects, the cost for salt, and you were slightly over budget. So I'm wondering if that's a concern.
To you, Deputy Mayor. I received an email today from a couple other different municipalities. Some of them are experiencing the shortage, some aren't. We haven't yet. Nobody said anything to us yet. But there is supposedly there's going to be a shortage of salt coming up, but when, I'm not sure.
Okay, so any other questions, comments? Anyone? Okay, I'll call the vote. All those in favor of the public work response? Carried. That's the big one. Yeah. Okay, so report number 6-26, 2026. Public Works Final Parking Bylaw, moved by Duncan McGregor and seconded by Philip Smith. Whereas the township has reviewed and updated its parking bylaw to modernize regulations and improve clarity, and whereas the updated parking bylaw includes provisions for the administrative preliminary penalty system, AMPS, in accordance with the applicable legislation, and whereas public consultation has been completed and feedback has been considered as part of the update, and whereas the proposed parking bylaw has undergone a legal review to ensure compliance with provincial requirements, and whereas it is necessary to amend Schedule C of the bylaw 2024-43 by adding Table 3 to reflect updated parking-related penalties. Now therefore it be resolved that council hereby receive the updated parking bylaw as presented, and further that Schedule C of bylaw 2024-43 be amended and added to Table C as attached, and further that the parking bylaw be brought forward for adoption later in this meeting. Questions or comments? Philip Smith. Oh, that's a big
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Really, the only question I had was around a couple of the key maps that were in the documents, Crow Lake Boat Launch and the Long Lake Boat Launch. I'm just curious, you've got the whole property marked as no parking, so I'm not sure where someone coming is going to park a vehicle or.
To you, Deputy Mayor, for as long as I've been here, there's always been no parking signs there. So it's always been no parking. It's just, we're just kind of finalizing it here right now, making it. Yeah, I don't know what to say where they park their boat trailers or their vehicles, but it's always been no parking since I've been here. So.
Bill Everett?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just a comment. There's no room to turn a trailer around in the parking lot. And they used to park down Hanlon Lane and the old schoolhouse. Now where they're parking is a different story. Thank you.
And Nikki Gowdy, then Dan Meeks.
Thank you. Jody, I called about a question yesterday about the Eagle Lake one, about the roads. It's been an ongoing issue with the parking on the road. And is the bylaw going to be, it says that, you know, you can get a ticket for parking on certain roads in certain distances. Is it going to be a hassle to bylaw writing tickets if it's not specifically there on Eagle Lake Road, that there's no parking on either side of that road going to the beach?
Yeah, through you, Deputy Mayor. It for specifically Eagle Lake, we did discuss it with Steve. We'd have to measure the road. If it's under 6 meters, then the bylaw officer would be able to ticket. If not, we would need to put it specifically in the restrictions. But Steve did not feel at this time that it was necessarily an issue along that area. I'll let you speak to that section.
Yeah, no, I think if with this enforcement and stuff, there we'll be able to maybe control some of the stuff that's in the parking lot that's there, so people can park in there instead of on the road. So.
Will we be putting signage up in these spots if it doesn't already have it?
Through you, Deputy Mayor. Yes, we will be. Yep.
Duncan and then Bill.
Through you, Deputy Mayor. So Councillor Smith just made a very valid point. I have to be honest, I missed this in my reading of it because we didn't have the key maps till yesterday. But that is a very valid point to anyone who wants to answer it. If I decide to use the Long Lake Boat Launch or the Crow Lake Boat Launch, what are my parking options?
So you, Deputy Mayor, we don't have a spot for them to park right now. So, what do we?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. If you look towards the bottom of the picture, on the left-hand side of the road, there is a large parking lot.
Eagle Lake, yes.
At Eagle Lake.
I'm
Crow Lake, they just have to take the trailers, same with Long Lake.
But
there's no place.
To where though? So, sorry, I once again, I apologize to staff because it's not fair to bring this forward now at the final hour, but Councillor Smith made a good point, and now I'm no longer in favor of those particular areas that have been highlighted from the map. I didn't expect them to be as large as they are.
Okay, so Bill, follow up, and then Dan.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. It's unfortunate, but if we allow these spaces to be parked in, people will not be able to launch their boats. It's as simple as that. They have that's their turnaround area. On the left top corner of the Eagle Lake, that's the boat launch. So you can't leave your boats or your car and trailer there.
I don't think Eagle Lake's the issue. There is a whole separate parking spot at Eagle Lake.
Yeah, but even it's the same at Crow Lake. You can't park there because you can't launch a boat. And Long Lake's got room to park. Charbot Lake's got room to park, but you can't park where the boat launches are, period.
Over the years, people have obviously found a place to put their trailers, so I don't see it as being an issue.
Other than we're telling them they can't park there now.
They never
They didn't
could.
park there in the first place.
No,
Yes, they did.
they did, but there were, excuse me, Madam Mayor. They did, but the signs are posted at Eagle Lake, Crow Lake, no parking in those areas designated.
Okay, so Dan, your comment?
Thanks, Deputy Mayor. At Long Lake, there's a parking sign, no parking right at the dock. But in order to get the boat out of the water, you got to have that area clear. But they always parked along that road, and now we're taking that all away. But a lot of people park at the end of the lake on Drew Point Road. But I just wonder if we couldn't make that part of a parking lot. A lot of people that go to the beach park there now. I don't know who owns that property, but maybe that's something we could look at. But we can't take all that parking away from the boaters. There's no way. There's nowhere for them to go.
Steve, do you have something?
Through you, Deputy Mayor, that's something we can look at. We have looked at it, and there is a spot there. We have to look into see who owns it, if it's us or someone else. But there is a wide spot just off of Drew Point Road. Could park a few vehicles there. I know they have a problem parking right across from where they launch the boats, and we've had a lot of complaints about people can't get it. They can't get their boat in. They can't get out because people are parked there. So
If you say.
I've had a lot of community members come forward with that issue.
Okay. Nikki Gowdy?
Just to follow up, if we're encouraging people to come to our area and enjoy our beaches and stuff, parking is an issue and it's something that we need to look at, because you can't promote an area and say, please come here, but stack your boat and truck on the road somewhere and hope for the best.
Can I suggest we defer the bylaw for tonight and have it come back at the next meeting with some staff input?
Okay, so
Anybody else want?
I'll second Mayor Smith's motion with apologies to staff that this was brought forward at the last final hour.
So let's put deferred, and then just put Susan.
As long as we get it done
Duncan
before
and
the snow
Brian.
melts, which isn't going to be soon.
And come up for the next one.
okay, so we're going to defer this for tonight. So all those in favor of deferment for today?
All of it, yeah.
Carried. So do I put carried down here?
Yeah.
too?
Mhm.
May I just get so we're looking at Long Lake parking? Where was and then Crow Lake? Are those the two concerns? Were there any other ones? I'm so sorry.
yeah.
Could you measure the road for Eagle Lake? Because I don't want to set somebody up for grief when they don't need it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Please and thank you.
Probably
Okay, so-
should look at all the boat launches. Our boat launches.
Okay, so we'll have staff look into that and bring it back to us at a later date then. Thank you. Okay, so. Hey. Thank you. All right. Report 7, 2026, public survey resulting draft sewage system standards bylaw. Moved by Nikki Gowdy, seconded by Susan Irwin. Whereas council by resolution at its November 25th, 2025 regular meeting directed staff to release a public survey to gather comments for the preliminary draft sewage system standards bylaw with a closing date of December 31st, 2025. And whereas the results of the public survey have been complied and submitted to council. Now therefore be it resolved that council hereby receives the public survey results regarding the preliminary draft sewage system standards bylaw for information. Questions or comments? Philip Smith.
I guess on the comments and some of the questions I have myself, do staff still feel that this bylaw is necessary based on the public comments? We talk about, it falls under the building code. We're doing the septic reinspection program. I guess maybe help educate me why a separate bylaw is important as well.
Yes, through you, Deputy Mayor. This bylaw was brought forward based off a recommendation from the septic reinspection program for enforcement concerns. So we're not changing any of the standards of sewage systems in Central Frontenac. What we're doing is we are setting ourselves up to be able to enforce it. Andy has brought forward many concerns with compliance issues and encouraging the people who have failed systems to come and get a permit and fix the systems so that we can protect our environment and our neighbors and be compliant. And there seems to be a little bit of a delay in some of those. So the concern was actually correcting this bylaw is to help encourage people to come in and get their permit and fix their systems. So basically, it will be driven based off of our CBO, Andy, would be providing our bylaw officer with a list of residences who may have failed this reinspection program and have not obtained a permit after he's sent reminders. If we were to do it in the typical way that we are now, Andy may have to help me a little bit with this one, but I believe that there is a cost to the township to enforce it because it has to go through provincial offenses. Andy would also have to do orders to comply. I did mention some of it in the report, but basically it's not to change the standards. It's simply to enforce the standards. And that's why this was a suggestion that we brought forward to the septic reinspection program.
Okay,
Does
thank
that
you.
answer your question?
Any other questions? Nikki Gowdy?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I'm struggling a bit as a counselor with some of the comments and with the viability of the program based on the comments and feedback I've received. And I know we have a septic reinspection committee. I know there's a meeting tomorrow, but basically, again, it comes down to a council decision on this program. And I'm not saying it's a bad program, I'm not saying it's a perfect program or anything, but I'm just struggling with the amount of comments that we received that were against this program.
Yes.
Okay.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, I just want to make a comment that there were only 62 results received, which is not the best survey results that we've received as a township. But they're really, I'm not sure if 62 results can really represent the entire, opinion of the township. However, they're very important results. As you know, I completely understand that. What I did recognize in the results was there was a lot of confusion with feeling that we're changing the standards. And there's no standards being changed. It's simply so we can educate and, if necessary, enforce so that we can have compliant systems and so that we don't have systems that are leaching waste into the ground or to our lakes that have failed the reinspection program, and we want those corrected. And I think that was the main purpose behind it. So I do understand the public, but I think maybe that piece got missed when we are trying to communicate with the public. Again, we write that in the reports, but maybe we didn't educate the public as much as to why this bylaw is being brought forward. I don't know if that answers.
Okay, any other questions? Duncan?
Kind of foreshadowing here a little bit, but Kathy, how many referendum questions can we put on the ballot for an election?
I think you could put in a couple at least. I have to look at it to see exactly if there's wording.
Just foreshadowing to the rest of council, this has been a divisive topic for the past 4 years. It's been a divisive topic ever since I paid attention to council. And I think in order for this program to continue, I'm neither for it or against it, but I think in order for it to continue and be viable, the next council needs a strong direction from taxpayers as whether this program goes ahead or whether it doesn't. If it goes ahead and that's what our taxpayers want, then it can be fully supported by council because it's been divisive for the past 4 years and we're not really getting any traction. We're just kind of spinning our wheels. So just a little bit of foreshadowing.
Okay, and Susan?
Through Deputy Mayor, one of the things that I took from the survey results and recognizing that it was a very small sample was the emphasis on the need for greater education, particularly for people new to the community. So that's an area that I think is part of the mandate of the Septic Reinspection Advisory Committee to look at. And I think there's one other. And certainly, improve relations with perhaps the real estate salespeople to ensure that we can provide that information. And I agree with you, Jody, if I may, that people weren't aware that we had the septic reinspection program, so there was a little bit of confusion there. The other thing that I took from it was the need for alternative solutions to help people when, particularly on the islands, when they're not going to be able to meet the standards. So I believe Mayor Smith received a letter from one of the respondents. This will be considered at the meeting tomorrow. And I think that's something we could focus our energies on so that, you know, there are benefits to the program as well. Thank you.
Do we have any other questions or comments? All right, we'll call the vote for the draft sewage system standards bylaw for information. All those in favor? Carried. Okay. So committees and other reports. Heritage Festival Committee Terms of Reference, moved by Nikki Gowdy and seconded by Bill Everett, that council approve and adopt the Heritage Festival Committee's Terms of References as presented. All those in favor? Oh, question, Duncan, go ahead. Sorry.
This question is to you and Councillor Gowdy. We probably won't have another time to see the minutes or agenda from the Heritage Festival. So just generally, how's it going compared to last year? And how's the community involvement been?
Well, I'd say it's going quite well, actually. We had a meeting this week and we've got a lot of events on the go here. And yeah, no, it's looking a lot better. A lot more community involvement and that sort of thing. Any other comments, Nikki, that you would want to?
We've worked to get businesses involved, so that the economic development portion of it, you know, you're gonna see Cardinal Cafe, the Legion's involved, all offering food. And the Charlotte Lake Pub is gonna have some special meal and stuff going on. So the reason behind the Heritage Festival I've been educated on is it started to increase people to come in a time of the year that the businesses aren't seeing a lot of business, and to increase that business. So I went back to that premise and approached businesses to be involved in the festival itself. Yes, it's about heritage and we call it heritage, and we're going to have quite a few activities based on that. But the premise of trying to get dollars spent in our area was pushed as well this year.
And we're working on our pamphlet. It should be out. When should that be done, Nikki? I know it's pretty close.
It'll be done next Monday.
Yeah, so our pamphlet will be done by next Monday. So, okay.
Yeah, would there be an opportunity with our, we currently pay for a reoccurring ad in the North Frontenac News. Would it be appropriate then to maybe reach out and do a main fold of, I'm sure you've read it. Perfect.
Yeah.
We actually, I can tell you that we've worked with Jeff at the newspaper, and this week there will be a story in the newspaper about it. Next week, there will be an ad in the paper about it. The following week, it's either going to be an ad or another story, and then the pamphlet's going out in the paper to everybody in the area on the Thursday before the long weekend in February. So we put an emphasis on advertising.
And I'm sure Chris can get that on our website too, right, Chris? Yeah. So there you go. Any other questions? Okay. All in favor? Carried. Okay, communications.
Fraction.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
Do you want to read this one?
No,
Long.
you can read.
Okay.
You're doing fine.
Okay. Okay, so communications, registered mail dated December 31st, 2025 from Ontario Infrastructure and Lands Corporation regarding extension of lease for Soldiers Memorial Hall, Ontario court use. Moved by Duncan McGregor and seconded by Dan Meeks. Whereas the Corporation of the Township of Central Frontenac entered into a license agreement dated July 1st, 2001, as amended with the province of Ontario for the rental of the approximately 2,274 square feet of space at the Memorial Soldiers Hall located at 1107 Garrett Street in the community of Charlotte Lake. And whereas the licensed space is located on the main floor of Soldiers Memorial Hall and has been used by the provincial and province of Ontario under the terms of the license. And whereas the license includes the option for the province of Ontario to extend the agreement for an additional 5 years. And whereas the township has received notice that the province of Ontario is exercising its option to extend the license for a further 5 years from July 1st, 2026 to June 30th, 2031, and under the same terms and conditions. And whereas Ontario Infrastructure and Lands Corporation, through its agent CBRE Limited, will be working with the township to finalize the extension agreement. Now therefore be it resolved that council acknowledges and accepts the extension for the license for the rental space at Memorial Soldier Hall for the period of July 1st, 2026 to June 30th, 2031. And be it further resolved that the mayor and the CAO clerk are hereby authorized to sign the license extension agreement and any other related documents. Questions or comments? Philip, then Susan.
So I'm not privy to the terms of the lease or the license, but I am curious if there's a built-in clause to increase the rental fees over the term, or has it been the same for the last 20 years?
Yeah. Yeah, we haven't received the license yet.
Okay, the other question, because it says on the same terms, so.
It's the same terms, and I think that, I don't think it raised any, we'd have to look and see exactly how much money it was with Michael, and then I can, yeah, we can take a look and
I would
see.
suggest it's only reasonable that we build in some kind of increase clause if we can. And then I also would like to know, is there any exclusive use in the agreement? Because I know there's some back offices, but just want to know if there's exclusive use involved.
Yes, what they would be doing is they would use the space in the back because they had one room was for the OPP or the court, for the court themselves to go into, as well as there's court furniture that would come out as well. So as far as I know, that's would stay the same under the lease.
Okay, Susan and then Mayor Smith.
Through Deputy Mayor, just a question relating to the possible improvements to the Oso Hall kitchen and whether there was some talk of extending the one wall and whether that would
Probably
be prohibited by that lease.
Mm-hmm. The one thing I think we could probably do is have a contact with them and maybe have a meeting or something to explain some of those things because of that reason. We don't, I mean, right now, I don't know what their future is in regards to using it for the court. But as far as we were surprised when we got that they wanted to extend the agreement. So, but we can do some more, certainly do some more information and see what we can find.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And Mayor Smith, your comment?
I was going to make similar comments. One is we want to have it open to adjust the rent. And secondly, we need them to show us exactly on a plan, a floor plan, what they feel that they are renting. If it's 20 years old, I don't know other extensions if those things have been changed, but I think we need to look at it very closely. And courts are still doing everything by Zoom meetings, so I'm not sure they'll even be using it, but maybe up by 2027, maybe they will.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we'd have to look at the other. Okay, Jody just pulled up the lease. Yeah, the license is hereby extended for a further 5 years. Let's see, an annual license fee payable in advance in equal monthly, it'd be $2,280 a month. The license fee payable in advance in equal monthly installments of $190 on the first day of each month during the third extension term, based on 12 days of use per annum at a rate of $190 per day. Any additional days of use will be paid for by the leasee at the above-mentioned daily rate upon receipt of an invoice from the lease licensor for such additional use. Such invoice to be issued once a year at the end of the calendar year in which such charges were incurred. So that's what's gone on the agreement.
Okay.
So I think we'd have to maybe look to see what rental fees we're charging now for everyone, like all of our, for the hall and see if that's going to match something to that
Yes.
and we can bring it back for more information.
So we're going to defer.
Yeah, I would think so.
Philip, question, comment?
So I just want to follow up.
Mhm.
Just if there's exclusive use, it's more than just the daily rate, right? Like, I mean, they're actually taking part of the hall and saying that's theirs for the duration, whether it's 1 day or 30 days in a month.
Mm-hmm. Nikki Gowdy?
Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. Would it be worthwhile to say that there's an increase every year? So yes, this year you might charge $100, but next year you're going to increase it by cost of living and 2%. I know it's not a lot of money, but you build that in, like in most cases, people's rent goes up every year. And, we should be entitled to charge an increase in the rent that in each year as well with the agreement.
For sure. So maybe we could just defer it and we'll get some more information and bring it back.
Or do we have to call the vote and then defer?
Yeah.
Okay, so,
Is the motion just to receive the information or to?
no,
No.
it's for,
It's for you and I to sign the agreement.
Okay,
Fran.
so then let's defer it. I'll move to
Yeah.
defer.
do you have? So we're going to defer.
Yeah, just put deferral on it and.
Seconder.
I need a seconder.
Yeah, there you go. That's what we need to do.
It'd be worth having a meeting with them.
Yes.
And see if it could consolidate it all into one.
Yeah, because for all the years that that I have been here, it's been extended every 5 years, but then there's always been activity at the hall. There was always the courts there. So I think having a meeting with someone is a good idea.
That wall back and put everything in that one room.
We still might be able to, yeah.
The other concern be.
Use your mics, folks.
Mike,
Yes, there.
Sorry. The other concern would be for, if there was exclusive use, for North Frontenac Little Theater, they use the back rooms to change costumes and so forth during a production. So it would restrict their use. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll call the vote. So all those in favor of deferring the item for today? Carried. Okay. Okay, bylaws and agreements. 2026-01 parking bylaw, moved by Duncan McGregor and seconded by Susan Irwin. That bylaw 2026-01 being a bylaw for the establishment of and enforcement of parking regulations in the Township of Central Frontenac be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed on this 13th day of January 2026. So, and we're going to defer this because we discussed it earlier. Okay. B, 2026-02 bylaw to amend administrative monetary penalties, AMPs, and designate parking bylaw, moved by Philip Smith, seconded by Bill Everett, that the bylaw 2026-02 being a bylaw to amend the administrative monetary penalties, bylaw 2, next page, designate a parking bylaw to be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed this 13th day of January 2026. And we're deferring that one too. And that one's deferred too. Okay. I'm just flying through these. All right. C, 2026-03 bylaw to appoint a committee of adjustments for 2026. Moved by Philip Smith, seconded by Dan Meeks, sorry. That the bylaw 2026-03 being a bylaw to appoint a committee of adjustments for 2026 be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed this 13th day of January 2026. Comments? Comments or all in favor? Yes. Okay. Carried. Do we have any notice of motions?
No, we do not.
Giving notice of motions?
No, we do not.
New and other businesses?
No, there's none.
Closed session?
No closed session.
This is Fran's favorite part, the adjournment. Okay. Confirming bylaw 2026-04, moved by Nikki Gowdy, seconded by Duncan McGregor, that the bylaw being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the regular council meeting held January 13th, 2025 be read a first, second, and third time and finally pass this 13th day of January 2026. And further that this meeting be adjourned until Tuesday, January 27th, 2026 at 6 p.m. for our regular meeting of council, said meeting to be held at the council chambers located at 14216 Road 38, Sherbert Lake, Ontario. All those in favor? It's not January 27th?
No, and it said the council meeting held January 13th, 2025. So I think we need to
It's
change that.
corrected? She corrected it?
Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, as corrected, all those in favor? Carried. And the time?
7:39.
Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Good night,
Thank you.
folks.
Good night.
Night.